Welcome everyone. Howdy folks. Welcome to Coffee and Tools. But tonight we're doing a very special episode that is related to UFOs. Seems like that's become quite a major item in the news these days. In fact, the Comet TV series show channel Comet is having UFO Friday or something. So they're going to be running UFO television shows all day Friday. I hope I get the chance to watch some of that. I've always enjoyed it, but my whole situation here is I had an event back in 1981, and it's a very difficult story to explain because the details and the process of what happened has always led me to question myself as to what happened. So we're going to start. I worked at a place for a couple of years, and so I think it was into my third year of working for them as a maintenance electrician for a foundry. The foundry is located in Hamilton, Ontario, in Canada, and I lived about just less than an hour away from the plant, out in the countryside near Cayuga, Ontario. And I would travel to work every day, steady days, 7 to 3:30 kind of thing. Week to week. And so this was a routine, and I was about 2.5 years into it. It was 1981, and it was the fall of 1981. So there was something very typical of that Canadian weather area. You had this sort of high fog sometimes, so I want to just take that into account. I was traveling northbound on Highway 56 that morning, and it was just a little after 6 o'clock in the morning, which it always had to be. I left at about 5 minutes after 6 every morning, Monday through Friday, well, including Saturdays because I had to work a lot of weekends sometimes, and I would always be on that time frequency to make sure that when I reached General Steelwares, which was the company I was working for at the time, known as GSW, I would punch that clock about 3 minutes to 7. Somewhere in that range, and I was consistent. I mean, like I say, for over 2.5 years. So it's all routine. So I'm driving up the highway northbound out of Highway 56. I had just passed an area called, I believe they call it Nell's Corners. There's really nothing. There's a gas station and a little hardware store. That's it. That's the whole Nell's Corners. And I was about a mile out past that, still heading northbound towards the city, and noticed these orange lights. They were surrounded by fog, which is why I was talking about the fog earlier, because it was like a high ceiling fog that possibly, but these orange glows were very oval looking, and each one was on the side of the highway near the tree line. So near the tree line, about 100 feet in the air on both sides, seemed to be these two orange lights. And they weren't centered to the highway, they were centered to where the tree lines are. So it seemed like they had put lights up during the night from, the electric company, which I thought, not possible, but like very strange and very large sort of, orange lights, just glowing. And there was no real, they were like blurry, to even look at. You couldn't really see what they were supposed to be. And there was some fog around them, where it appeared to be fog. And I was within maybe not even a half a mile, and all of a sudden the radio in my truck cut out. This is a Dodge truck, 1978, only a couple of years old, not even probably 50,000 miles on it yet, and the radio cuts out, and I lost the signal. And then all the lights in the truck cut out as well. The whole truck shut off. It was, so I just rolled. I was like doing 60 miles an hour, so I was like, well, I'll let the truck roll as far as it'll go. And I thought maybe I'll get up underneath these lights. I can open the hood, see if the fan belt fell off. I was kind of angry, thinking, the truck's only a couple of years old, and I'm breaking down on the highway, at this time of the morning, and I was going to be late for work. And so at that point, I rolled the truck to a stop, shut the radio off, turned the key off on the ignition. This point was obviously the truck's not running; it's dead. And pushed the transmission, which was automatic, into neutral. Just allow it to roll just that much, a little bit more, trying to get, to somewhere where there's some light, maybe I can see. I didn't have a flashlight or anything with me, but as I stopped the truck and came to a complete stop, a white saucer-shaped light in my rearview mirror came flying up from the southern part of behind me from the highway and came up in between the two orange lights. At that point, this white light just simply vanished between these two orange lights. And the orange lights, or glow, whatever they were in the sky, they went off immediately, gone. I was in total darkness, and it was like a nanosecond. And then suddenly I'm like, I'm opening my eyes or something, and I'm now inches over in my seat where I normally don't sit, off the steering wheel a little bit to one side where I would never normally sit. And I thought, that's really strange. What happened? I reached down, started the truck up. It started immediately. Lights came on. My radio works. Everything's normal. Pulled into the highway and went on down the road. My next stop was in a place called Bimbrook, Ontario. There's a little store, a little convenience store, and I would stop every morning and see the owner, Bob, nice gentleman at the time, who operated the store. And I would see him, and I would, grab a coffee and then head for work. I stopped that morning, and as I walked in, I said, man, wow, Bob, man, you won't believe what happened. And he just basically put his hand up and said, I've already had like 3 cars in here this morning from different areas of the countryside out there telling me about flying saucers and ignition on their cars quitting, things like that. He says, if you want to tell me about this UFO thing, he says, I'm going to get in my car and drive down there and see what's going on. And I said, I think whatever it is over with. I think they just left. I said, I think I saw them leaving, And so Bob and I discussed it a little bit, and I told him, maybe that evening I would ask him some more questions about what happened, if he heard anything more that day. But I had to get to work. My whole thought is, I have to stay on this timeline or I won't be able to punch that clock about 3 minutes to 7, so I can be on duty on my station at 7 o'clock. So with that thought, I found out about the 3 other instant witnesses that have also reported seeing something. So I drove to work, and it doesn't stop there. I got to work and I went to punch the clock. It's now approximately 6:30 in the morning, and that's 27 minutes early. Of course, I was shocked. I looked at that and thought, this is impossible. My alarm clock goes off at 5:50. I take about 15 minutes to get, a quick shower, brush my teeth, grab some work clothes, run to my pickup truck, and head on up the highway. There is no way I can be here at 6:30 in the morning because of the routine, the clock, everything. So anyways, this sort of threw a whole new extra screw into my day. So at the end of the day, I proceeded with a thought of, well, I'll backtrack myself and I'll stop at the store, talk to Bob, and see if he heard anything more or he had anything more to say about it. On my way home that night, I stopped. Bob was very irritated and he did not want to discuss it. So I thought that was strange, but it was like, obviously something's wrong or went wrong. Don't know. So I left the store and headed to the house. Now, I had a girlfriend at that time living with me, so I thought, well, I'll ask her about the alarm clock because she'll know. She will complain if something went wrong with that alarm clock, because I shut it off when I get up and she sleeps in. So if I didn't shut it off and the clock didn't go off, or I left before the clock went off or something, yeah, there would be some anger issues, whatever, with her. But anyways, so I proceeded down the highway and went to the area where I'd seen these orange lights, and I got kind of a little bit of the hair stood up on my neck thing, because I looked around and I was like, there's nothing here. There's the trees, there's an old farmhouse off to one side and things, but everything is the way it always has been, and there's nothing new here. So what were those orange lights? So I proceeded on to my house. When I got to the house, I asked the girlfriend about the alarm clock. She said, looked at me like I was crazy, like, no, it went off like it always does. You shut it off, you changed, you left for work. She said, why? What's the problem? I said, well, it takes me almost an hour to get to work. I says, I got to work in, I guess, less than, maybe 25 minutes or less. And I said I was 27 minutes early, ahead of my own time schedule. Impossible. Truck stopped. It never did that again, by the way. Also never saw any orange lights again, too. But I said there was just too many things that morning that happened to be a coincidence or just so happened to occur. So I tried to take it all apart, and after talking to Bob later on when he was calmer about the witnesses and seeing the flying white disc objects flying around, apparently they appeared maybe an hour or two before that, flew around the area, God knows what they were looking for, went back to these two orange marker lights or beacons and went through something and went back to wherever they came from. Yeah, they didn't come from a star billions of miles from here, all right? Yeah, whatever they did to get here and to leave here was on planet Earth. Yeah, they did that here. They didn't do that somewhere else. Anyways, basically that's the whole story. And I registered it with MUFON. At that time, I think I wrote a letter or wrote into them because there was no internet back in 1981. And I started looking around. There's a few cases out there that are similar and similar time instance situations where people have found themselves a half hour ahead or an hour ahead of themselves. There's been a few, not many. But I thought this was a rare case for myself, obviously, but it was a rare case that I've heard of because I've had a lot of trouble with UFO sightings, and that really got my interest boiled up to, okay, there's something more around us, something more going on, something we're not seeing. And of course, recently, this past month, the Pentagon has been releasing some information. It sounds like they need more money to investigate is what it really comes down to. They just want more money, and what else is new, right? And I really expected that's about what the bottom line would be. And the other thing that the other channel, I'll put this on the other channel as well for the, I guess, episode 1. And that channel, UFOs, the technology, we'll discuss that on the other channel. The hardcore of Coffee and Tools is just the relaxed projects of whatever's going on in the garage that day. So we will sort of stick with that format. If you were looking for a wood project today, I apologize. I'm sorry, guys, but I had to get this UFO thing off my chest because it is what really caused me to be more concerned, but more interested in other people's sightings and what happened, and that sort of thing. So I took a lot of time studying a lot of cases, and also sat down with various people that had reports, and I went over their reports with them and took some deep look into what may or may not have been the situation. There's a lot of interesting theories that can come out of a lot of that stuff. So hey, I'll cut it off, and we'll go back to normal Coffee and Tools after this episode. I will leave this posted with Coffee and Tools, even though it will be on both channels. UFO Tech is the other channel, and of course Coffee and Tools is my baby. Hey, thank you so much for stopping in this evening and listening to my story, my little rant and rave about what the heck happened. And we will see you in the coming weeks with other inventions, projects, 3D printing, whatever I'm working on. We'll do it. All right. Adios, guys.